Welcome back. I thought I would do a draft episode, which would be a lot of fun. Which I'll start. So I started in the first round. I took stud 6'5" center. I took a lot of time on this pick. I couldn't decide, but at the end of the day, 6'5" dude with 10 speed, 12 offensive read, two most important categories uh, for offense: passing and offensive readers, two best, and his shot. And then he's got 9 faceoffs and 9 on defensive read. So he just had too many high ratings where it was just inevitable this guy's going to be a beast. Even if he doesn't grow any height, he should still be 6'5", 200 pounds with 11 or 12 speed, should have like 15 offensive read, probably get up to like a 12, 13 passer. So having a guy with that size and strength and skill is just too good. So I took him in the first round. I really took a big risk because this guy was by far the best rated guy in the draft, in my scouts' opinion. But and he was born September 27th. But if you notice, my scout's 4.5 potential rating, and the consensus ability is a 2. So I figure this guy was probably available in the third or fourth round because it seems like he isn't that highly thought of from the rest of the community, but my scout has him really high. But at the same time, if you look at my scout's opinion on him, he has him so good in every category, like a 9, 10 in everything. I don't think he's going to be around much longer. There's no point in really risking that not taking him with my second round pick, because he was a guy that probably could have taken with my first overall pick in the first round, 16th overall. So I do have 2 second round picks. I have Niagara's second round pick from a trade a few years ago. I've accumulated a lot of depth the last few years and really taken advantage by making some trades where some 18, 19-year-old guys on my team that weren't key players and trade them for future picks like 2, 3 years and down the line. And those picks are kind of fruits coming to bloom there. And so I don't even remember how I got that Niagara pick, but some trades like that I made a few years ago are starting to look pretty. I've acquired multiple second, and I think I actually got an extra third round pick this draft, so we should have a lot of talent. If you look at this guy, he's just kind of too good. He's 4.5 star potential. He's got crazy balance ratings and everything. So this is a guy that could be 6'4", 210, and have 12 rated in almost every category. And if you look at his leadership, his mental ratings are just so good. Everything's high. That's important. And his strength and speed, 10 and 9. Just a guy that's already 189 too, so he should fill in well over 200 pounds and just be a force. So there's that guy I could really risk because my next pick isn't too far away. I pick here at 25, and then my next pick is at 37. So it is only 12 picks, but I don't think there's anyone else that's that good worth risking losing this guy. Because no one else is like super talented left. There's a couple 4 stars left. We'll look over them now. This guy is a 4-star. They say he's a 3-star. My scout says he has only 7 speed, but he does have some good acceleration agility, and his defense is pretty average, but he does have very high offensive ratings. So that's a guy that's just like a pure offensive center, but he doesn't really have speed. And his size is pretty good. He should fill into about 6 foot, 200 pounds. But I just don't see his defense being good enough to warrant taking over some Pero there. This guy is probably the best player left in the draft. He's a 4-star in both, and he has extremely high offensive ratings, which almost he's another guy I almost took my first round actually. If you look at him, he has really good skating. He's got 9, but then he's got 10 agility, and acceleration is 10, 11, and he's got solid defense. He's got 9 positioning and 10 defensive read and 10 stick checking. He's probably the best current player right now. He's a guy you could plug in and actually play right now based on how good his offensive ratings are. His defense is pretty solid, and he's not that small. He's not big, but he's also not small. He should be about almost 6 foot, 200 pounds. And he's a really talented dude. That's a good goal scorer. He's got 14 shoots. So if you look at his ratings, those won't be his OHL ratings, but you can tell which he's best in which category. So he's a really good two-way player. He's a really good back checker, but he's also got pretty good playmaking. So he's pretty balanced overall. And he's a guy you could plug in right away in the fourth line, probably make him a back checking forward as a rookie. And so he's really tempting. Yeah, we have this really good defenseman. He's a 4-star too. He's already 6 feet tall with 10 skating. He's got some decent mental ratings. Just lacking a little bit on his leadership and team, but he's pretty good in the other stuff. And he's a really good defensive player. He's got awesome ratings in stick checking and his defensive read is already really high, 11, and he's a good puck handler. So with a guy that's 6 foot, good skater, good puck handler, a really good defender, that's pretty much all the boxes you check off there. He'd probably fill out to maybe get 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds or so. So that's the guy that could really just be a solid all-around shot. I would just usually prefer the right-hand shots, but I do have a lot of those, so I actually am missing some left-hand shots. It's pretty easy to convert them, though. This left winger is really highly thought of from the consensus, so he'll probably go in the next few picks here. He is a guy my scout thinks is only a 4-star, which is still pretty high. And I just don't like him quite as much as that other winger I just showed you above that had the really good current ratings of 10 and a few 11s on offense. This guy is pretty much the same player, though just not quite on that level of Armstrong, but he's also really good, and the consensus actually thinks he's a lot better than my scout says he is, so they might be right. And then we got this 5'10" winger, is a 3.5-star, has really good offensive ratings and really good defensive read. So this guy is really solid. He's just not a physical player with low strength and checking and hitting, but also is a pretty talented offensive player. He's a really good passer, so he'd probably be a really good playmaker. I think he's a guy we'd look at maybe at the next pick. Here's a really good size defenseman. He's probably the best current defenseman in the draft if you look at his ratings. He's got some awesome positioning, good speed, good strength. Oh, he's talented. That's tough to pass up on at this point. That's almost a first-round pick defenseman with that kind of speed and defensive ability. His positioning's top tier with his size, and he's a good shot, and he can handle the puck. The only thing he lacks is he's not the smartest player on offense with an 8 and 10. That's actually really high. That's not true. That's still really high. Just a really, really good all-around player. I think we'll have to go with him, actually. After, that's a tough decision, man. I really having my tough time making up my mind here. I think this guy's got to be the pick. Just too high potential compared to everyone else. 4.5 stars compared to everyone else. I'm looking at it's like 3.5. So I think we'll go him with this pick, and then if everyone's left with the next pick, we'll have to decide. That's a tough call, but we just need some depth on the wing. If you look at my roster, I'm gonna filter it by first-year players. So we're gonna look at the future here and not worry about the present. I'm drafting for the future. So if you look at a protected list by position, last year I took this goalie. It was pretty solid. He's really progressed. He was like a 6 or 7 rated and everything, and now he's got a couple 10s and 9s. So he's a guy that's going to be really solid. The reason I'm showing you this, I really want to key up the ages for this dominant line. Because this line of Barrie, Brenneman, and Kozlovsky is the best line I've ever had. Zinchenko is just a late birthday. He's not actually a 17-year-old. This list should show all the 16 and 17-year-olds. So if you look, I actually took this goalie late too, which is kind of cool. He's grown to 6'4", and he's actually looks pretty weak right now, but that's a guy that could actually be like 6'4", 6'5", with all 10 rated in a couple of years. So kind of cool guy to keep an eye on. I took him pretty late. This guy was like a 5th round pick, and then this Watson guy was like a 10th round pick. So it'd be really cool if he turned out. This guy's actually going to go in his 18 year. He's just a late birthday too. These guys are pretty weak, 1-star potential late round picks. So the guys I want to kind of building this team around with that first line will be McMullen will be the same age, going to age 17. He's really solid. He's like a 4th round pick last year. And then we got Guptill, who's really solid. He's probably the best defenseman I have. That was 16 last year. He's got really good ratings. So he'll be the same age as these beasts here, Barrie, Brenneman, and Kozlovsky. So I'll be clutch. Smiley has really high potential. My scout had him as a 4 potential when I drafted him. He's got really solid ratings. It's a small guy that hasn't grown yet since I drafted him, but we're going to give him another year in junior B and then see what he looks like. He'll be a really solid 2-year starter, I think, at the pro level there. So him and the 6'5" guy should be really good together. And then McMullen will probably be the 3rd. And then I got a couple smaller guys late. This guy, who's actually got pretty decent ratings. He's a pretty good shot, but yeah, not a lot to go with. As you see, we don't really have any left defensemen. This guy's 18, and then these two 16 going in their 17 seasons are pretty weak. They're not that bad. Like, one of them might turn into a decent player, but they look a lot better than they are because they've had a whole year progression compared to the guys I was showing you in the draft. Definitely, I think these two will be the main two. So what we're looking for is we need a left defenseman. And then we really need wingers. We don't have any good wingers. pretty much all forwards except for the guy we just we have one late round pick, 6'6" guy last year, who'd probably actually turn into a pretty decent player. He's got some pretty cool ratings. And then we also have, this guy's 18 also, he's going to age 18 season. So we really need some forwards to build around. That's why I took this big 6'5" center with our first pick here. And then the second pick, I think we're going to go with that winger. So then we'll give us a really good second line winger to go with Wall for the future there. And then I think we're going to have to look for a left defenseman with another pick. But we'll kind of can go best player available here because we're pretty set with that dominant first line there, Brenneman, Calls, and Bear, and then the 6'5" right defenseman. So we can kind of not worry too much about position, but if we do, I would like to get a left defenseman. So yeah, we're just going to go with Zamparo here. He's just too good to pass up, I think, at this point in the draft. Guy my scout thinks is a star, 4.5 star. Is very good. I just am worried I'm going to draft him, and then it's going to fall to like a 3 or 2 star, and then it's just going to really wish I took this really talented winger Armstrong, which I could see happening, but you can't predict the future. You got to kind of trust your scouts, and my scout is saying that Zamparo is a 4.5 star potential, which is a star, and he does have a lot of tools. So yeah, we're going to go with him. We're going to trust the scout. And then we're going to see. So Armstrong's the next key guy, and then I think this defenseman was really good, John Giangelo. So we're going to pick until human, see if anyone's left. Giangelo's left, yes. So if you look at the picks here, goalie went next, and then, yeah, Armstrong went right after that. He was probably the backup pick there. And then we lost, yeah, those wingers that were really good that went next that were highly thought of. This guy was the 5-star OSA guy. And then we just had a run on defenseman, unfortunately, right for our pick. This guy was the really solid guy that went, and then it looks like a couple lefty went, who would have been options for me, because that's kind of what I'm looking for. This is the guy I was going to show you, actually. Shoot. So this guy was only a 3-star for a scout, but he's a 4.5 consensus, and he's got amazing defensive read. And I was really tempted to take him. I forgot to show you him. But my bias towards forwards kind of won out, and I just always feel like I talk myself into taking forwards when everything's kind of equal. And this guy is pretty solid, but he's not amazing. He's not a good skater. He's just a really good defender, so I probably maybe should have looked at him a little bit more. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then, yeah, a couple more defensemen went here. Just a couple solid 3 stars with some good ratings. So we do have, the good news is I think we already made our mind up for this pick. It's going to be this Giangelo guy, because he is just too solid to pass up at this point in the late second. He's got wicked positioning, good speed, wicked shot, just a lot of tools. I think if he grows a couple inches, he'll be really beastly. And then always definitely want to take a look. This guy's left, which my scout thinks is the best potential left in the draft, because his passing, it's really good. And then we got the 6'4" winger who's really solid defensively. He's got awesome checking strength and hitting ratings. He's a really good defensive player, but he's pretty lacking on offense, and he's not a great skater, so it's probably not someone I want to consider this early in the draft. Then we have another winger who's got really good hitting. This guy reminds me of Wernich when I drafted him. He's got pretty weak skating, but he's also got a really good shot and really good hitting. A couple of the key ratings he's pretty high on. Then we got a left D who's got pretty balanced ratings here. Really good offensive read, which is nice. He's a guy that could probably, doesn't have a great shot though. Usually defensemen have like 12 shooting range, or 10 I guess, but not too bad, but not great. But I do like that offensive read as a left defenseman, because whoever I pick as a left defenseman, either this round or the next, has to probably play pretty early. And with the best center left in the draft is a good face-off guy that's 5'9", 180, good speed, solid skater, solid finisher, just doesn't have great offensive read, but he's actually got most of the key categories, so he's actually really good. I like him. And then we have, so I showed you all these guys already. This left winger here, 5'10", 166, is a really solid all-around player. There's a lot of solid wingers here, but I think we're going to have to go with this defenseman. He's definitely top of my board right now. Just got a lot of green for a guy in the second round. Once he gets some once he gets some higher read ratings, offensive, defensive read, he's going to be a really good player in a couple of years. I think he's a guy that will maybe consider moving to the left side and teaming up with that 6'5" guy who's a year older. Probably give him a year in junior, work on his mental side of the game. He's got all the physical stuff, but I think it would help playing with older players to kind of catch his mind up to the game. He's a guy that will be a starter for his 17-year-old season, most likely. He's definitely a lot better than this guy. Yeah, so he's definitely the pick here. I don't think anyone else even close. Couple centers here that are 3 stars. Just, yeah, no one's definitely... This guy is actually really solid. He's got some really good offensive ratings. 5'9", 165, so he'd turn into a nice 5'10", 5'11", 180 type guy. Reminds me a bit of Ryan Del Monte. And then the best goalie left... Oh, that's a really nice goalie, actually. Yeah, that's some really good goalie ratings for 16-year-old, 15 with a late birthday, too. Ooh, that's tough to pass up on here. That's a guy that you could let sit down in high school in the U.S. and play a year or two more and pull him up to the north there when he's got all 10 rated in a couple of years. Maybe some 11s and 12. Ooh, that's really good, actually. If I really start to really consider him right here. He's a lot higher than all the other goalies. Oh, this guy's got 5-star consensus potential. That's crazy. This guy has him as a 3, which is still pretty good. So yeah, those 2 goalies are really solid. If you really got to consider this guy here. That's some awesome ratings. Reflexes, I'd say, is the most important one too, which is his highest rated. And then his rebound recovery, which are also really important. So he's got all the key ratings. I really like him. Strongest part of his game is his intangibles. He's eager to learn. He is injury prone, it's saying, but not too bad. Doesn't really matter for goalies as much. Ooh, that's a tough one. I gotta make up my mind here. What's our next pick here? 37. Well, we don't pick for a while till 57. So all these other guys will be gone. We have to make the right pick here. I think this defenseman's just way too good. Yeah. I'm not talking myself out of that one. He's too good here. Alright, that'll be it for the episode. Actually, we'll do one more pick. We do have one more highly rated guy left. We'll probably go with this guy because we need some depth on the wing. Yeah, those goalies are both gone, unfortunately. Yeah. I might regret that not picking that goalie in a few years, but I'm going to try to stick with my Euro goalie strategy and hopefully grab another good 17-year-old in the import draft this year to be my future. And then, yeah, I just don't think we can pass up that defenseman at that point in the draft. He's too valuable with his amazing ratings. He's 6'1", 195 already. That's such good size. Absorbs knowledge like a sponge, which is really important. Fantastic vision and ability to read the play. Yeah, that's just really good news that he can soak up information like that. Probably means he's really smart. Amazing positioning. Yeah, that guy's going to be so good. That's such a nasty offensive profile. Can't wait till his offensive read gets higher. He's going to be a force in a few years. Probably be a guy, I feel like he has 15 rushing ratings and really good mobile defenseman ratings because his positioning's high. So yeah, I'm really excited for his future. I think he's going to be a monster. So yeah, in this episode, we got the 6'5" center, first round pick, and then we took that nice 6'2" winger with really high potential, and then we get this nice defenseman. So I think that's a solid haul for the top 3, and then we'll fill out the next picks with some depth guys, and then go into the year, go for it all. Hopefully Memorial Cup year. Next episode will probably be at the start of the season after training camp progressions.